office.
Yes, hi. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and yourself?
I could be doing better. Is Mr. Chisholm available, please?
I'm not sure, but I can check for you to see. May I ask who's calling, please?
Yeah, this is Daniel Crowley.
And may I ask what this call is regarding?
Well, I'm wondering if Mr. Chisholm still has an open door policy. He's familiar with who I am, ma'am. I'm just wondering if he's available for a meeting.
Okay. Hold on, please. I'll see if he's in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's December 14th, 2012 at 11:30 a.m.
Hi, Mr. Crowley. He is in his office, and I'll transfer you. Hold on, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Chisholm, can I help you?
Yeah, Mr. Chisholm, this is Daniel Crowley. I don't know if you remember me from 3rd District, the big guy with the goatee.
Oh, yes. Sure I do.
And then I was always questioning you about your open door policy. Since we last spoke, which you gave me wonderful wisdom, you told me to take it up with Chris Ladwing and such, and I've tried. And to this day, sir, I haven't had a chance to meet with him. Then I actually went to the liaison officer and Hugh Kong and told him I believe I had a tenant doing prostitution up in one of my spaces upstairs, and nothing happened. I mean, I'm not trying to come down on you, but are you Christopher's boss, or who is Christopher's boss? And then
yeah, no, I certainly am. He's looked at the issues that you've raised, and I think he just has some concerns about them, and so I know we had a long conversation, after that, and I know I got some emails from you.
yeah, I mean, I'm just disgruntled. I mean, I'm just upset, and then.
So what actually happened with the city inspection?
Well, actually, if you want to, you can see it on YouTube, because I put it up on YouTube. I mean, they came in and they said, the tenant. I know how this goes, sir. I mean, I've been a landlord for well over 2 years, if not much longer than that. And the tenant, makes a complaint because she doesn't not paying her rent. So the building inspectors come out, and things like roaches and rats and all this stuff, there was no issues on that. I mean, none. And then she said about temperature. I video recorded the code enforcement officer saying, okay, what's the minimum degree? It's like 68.3 or whatever. It was at 73. I mean, I'm not trying to hose anybody. I'm trying to help people out, but when I kind of don't.
So what specifically do you want from number 3 right now?
Well,
so you got somebody that you think is dealing drugs in one of your apartments?
No, not. That's already gone. They came and gone. I gave them notice, and then I went about the prostitution aspect, because they were actually on, what's the website? I did a search on them and it came up. And it just upsets me. They're not here anymore, so they're not doing it under my roof, if I want to call it, sir. But they're doing it in the metropolitan Milwaukee area yet. And one's got a 5-year-old daughter, the other one's got an 8-month-old daughter. I mean, I don't want to get personable with them, but I mean, should their mothers be conducting in this type of, raising their children in this kind of environment?
And so what makes you think they're still doing it?
Because I seen them on the website. It's called Backpage.com.
Okay.
Quintuela, I don't have her paperwork in front of me, but I mean, I've documented quite a bit about it. She's on Backpage. I mean, you can call her up on the phone. Her sister's doing the same thing.
And then what is Backpage?
Backpage, BACK. It's
Backpage,
just like Craigslist, sir. It's almost formatted the same way. But specifically, they come out on Backpage and they say, "Do you want an escort?" I mean, it says escort. I mean, there is no other defining definition of an escort when it says escort.
Yeah.
But I guess what upsets me, and I'm not trying to be a dictator over this, and I have a disability, so I can't really write a response that makes any sense. And I've actually gone to a Rebecca Ray Duke because of the fact that Mr. Donald G. Nates, the ADA grievance procedure person, told me to go to her. And I mean, she's not even calling me back. And then none of the referrals since we talked that Christopher forwarded me to with the emails, nobody's even called me back. So, I mean, is there anybody... I'm not the only person to take care of, but I mean, is there anybody there that's willing to do any kind of follow-up?
Well, sure, and Chris is usually really good about it if he finds some merit to what people's concerns are, and I can certainly talk to him again, and what's the name? What is the name of the two people that you have concerns again?
I don't have her folder in front of me. I have it in a safe deposit box, but it's Quintera. I can give it to him as well. I mean, and the other sister. They're both sisters, actually. But again, I don't want to be a crybaby about it, but I mean, I just don't see much going on. And I really want you to consider this. I mean, I really want somebody to investigate my accusations. I want to press charges on the code enforcement inspectors. They were out here again in the block, taking pictures of my residence. Okay. I mean, this one gentleman was here today. His name is Vincent, Vincent. His last name is Cortez. I think it's Gortez. I think he's relatively new, but he came out on a complaint like the 15th of last month for that Quintana Davis that was staying here, but she was already executed a breach of contract or breach of rental agreement, so she was already packed up. Yeah. So then they show up, and then you can look right on his encounter with me on YouTube. I mean, ironically, he's like, well, I'm here to investigate a report for so-and-so, and is she here? And I said, no, she doesn't live here anymore. She breached her agreement. I forget the exact terms I used, but she did, and I gave her the proper paperwork in the proper manner, how it's supposed to be done, and then he comes right out and writes a report on the website saying the city neighborhood services, complaint form on the website, and says I refused him access. She wasn't here, so what's the sense of letting him in to do an to do anything? And it was for a hole in the roof. I don't have a hole in the roof.
What criminal offense do you think these inspectors are engaged in right now?
Well, first off, sir, I mean, if I totally bring it back to the first thing that's on YouTube, where does a code enforcement officer have a right to go on somebody's property with first not acknowledging who he is or what his purpose is by knocking at the door? And then I came out there, video recorded the whole thing, sir. It's on YouTube, and he says right out, I'm a code enforcement officer. I can go anywhere I want to. I'm not breaking the law, sir. But why does the police department need a search warrant and the building inspectors don't?
Yeah, the standards are different for regulatory enforcement. I mean, if notice is given for commercial property, they can, the standards are different, is what I can tell you. Um, so this is some. Have you had a conversation with the city attorney's office on this at all? Because that's who, and I'm just saying that because, and I'm not shuffling you off. I'm just explaining the different degrees of oversight. And
Well,
the city inspectors have to comply with the city code, and if they violate that, then the first course of action is to file a complaint with the city attorney's office, and for them to review whether or not they complied with the city code on conducting inspections of residential commercial property, things like that. And that's where I would go first before jumping to like a criminal trespass to property or something like that, because the standard for a criminal trespass, particularly if you're a regulatory inspector, it would have to be a pretty high burden right there to show that they'd actually engaged in a crime by following up on a regulatory complaint. So, but that doesn't mean I'm not prejudging one way or the other. I don't know if the way they did it was proper according to city code or not. But that's the first thing that I would have to know is from the city attorney's office is what their process is. Are they required to give you a notice of inspection first, and then once having given that notice, what your obligation is under your license to allow them access, things like that. That's usually how it unfolds in my experience.
well, Christopher gave me, Mr. Ladwing gave me the city attorney's number as well, but
Yeah.
again, I called these people, sir. I assure you I called them, but I don't want to become a nuisance. Then it makes me look bad. I've called everybody that Christopher said me to. I tried to attempt a meeting just like you suggested with the code enforcement officers and Christopher. Nothing's happened since we first spoke.
Yeah.
How? What does that say for the? I'm going to go back in a kind of a world I came from, in the corporate world. What kind of productivity does that say about a person? That's not too good.
Yeah.
I'm again, and then I go to these meetings, and I know you spoke with the ADA person in the county, because he told me he called you and must have spoke with you about my disability. I'm dyslexic.
Yes.
I'm just putting it out there, but I'm being treated differently because of my disability. And then not even that, I've went back to the alderman, Willie Hines. I seen him at a couple events, which I someday would like to be politically involved, and I'm just going to put it out there. I'm put it as the way I put it with him and how I see it. I'm 52 years old. I live in the 2100 block of North 36th Street. I'm the only white guy in the block, the only person that's running a nonprofit that I feel that reaches out to help people in need. I'm not a Vincent St. Paul. I don't have their kind of money or cash flow, but I have my dreams to do what I want to do, and I'm just getting no response, no cooperation.
Yeah. What do you do with the nonprofit? I know we talked a little bit about that before.
Well, we are a bona fide 501c3. It's called Hope Housing SC Wisconsin USA. I started it myself.
Yep.
I'm totally in compliance with the IRS, the way it's supposed to be operating right now. I don't have $10,000 in the bank, but the property's in the name. I was advised by an attorney to do certain things to protect myself, and basically we're,
That's the property. But that's the property we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
In other words, so you try to rent it out to low-income families.
Yes.
Give them a place to stay, right?
Yes, for a short term, and like I said, we're totally in compliance with what do I want to say? We're not a rooming house, and we don't need a license. We're a transitional short term tendency for people to get their feet back on the ground.
Gotcha. And do you receive funding then from the city housing authority?
No, I've been unsuccessful because I'm trying to find a real good grant writer to try to get money from the city. I've been very unsuccessful, and other people that like Lisbon Avenue agency that's right down on 39th, 37th and Lisbon. I mean, they've gotten money. You know, I just don't know the right connection for a grant writer to try to be successful. So I'm basically fronting this with my own disability money.
Yeah.
And what little money I get come in, and right now I'm initiating a campaign for donations to try to keep my existence, you know, and then
How many units do you have?
I rent out right now. I only have one person and I have 5 rooms available. But
Gotcha.
again, it's transitional.
Yeah.
And the other parts are just, since you brought that up, my address is 215355 North 36th Street. And ironically, you know, I'm in a slum area, but in all regards, I bought this property for the nonprofit to function because of its unique size. First off, it's 4,000 square foot of living space.
Yeah.
Second off, if you go to the city records, when I bought the property, even on my paperwork from the realtor even screwed up. I had an attorney tell me this, but I don't have enough money to take them to court. But I bought a house that it said on the paperwork 7 rooms, a duplex, a bath and a half. You know, yeah, I put some new tiling in and stuff and a different sink. But now this building inspectors come up and they say, well, you can't utilize this space because you're not in compliance. But and then crazy. This is just ironically crazy. The breakdown on the website says, on the city property information, it says first floor like 1,300 square feet, second floor 13 something square feet, third floor it says 0. Attic shows that I got 580 square feet. I guarantee you and I could not get up in the attic.
Right.
So they got that screwed up, and that verbiage isn't right. And I've actually hired an attorney. It cost me $1,000 to get that stuff turned around, and it still relies on the deed information and the legal description and all this. That's still screwed up, and they are attempting to try to shut me down so I can't utilize all the space that I should be entitled to use. You know, why would I buy a house if I can't use all 7 rooms? I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Right.
You know, and then I'm grateful to have an empty lot that I fenced in, and then they write me up for my fence at one way along the road here. They wrote me up because my fence was too tall, and I got American flags on the fence.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, so the post exceed the 6-foot code, yeah, but there's poles, you know, there's American flags on there. So I mean, you know, I could go on and on with you, and I appreciate your time, and you have much more busier things to do, but you know, now I'm kind of twisting my direction. I don't know if you happen to see it, but 2020 or 60 Minutes about 3 weeks ago, they call it Adopt a Vet. So maybe I'm getting away from the single mother situation. Now I want to try to adopt a vet and give them space and whatever their needs are, because I don't have an elevator. So, I mean, they got to be functional, and there's a need for it, but there isn't even any legislation, and I don't think there has to be. So I'm trying to work with Gwendolyn Moore's office to try to get something on paper, you know, to help adopt a vet, you know, and that's my direction because, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, it's been a struggle with the baby mamas and the daddies and all that stuff coming in and camping out like they live here, and they don't live here, you know. So, and then I got to call the police department. That makes me look bad, and you know, and then the police come out and they got wonderful staff, but they're not well versed in landlord tenant. I mean, every issue that revolves around a tenancy, most likely, unless it's a physical altercation, is a civil matter.
Yeah.
And these police officers come in and say, well, you can't deny this person from staying here. That's the baby's daddy. And I'm like, he's not on the lease. He has no rights to being here. It's not for him. The money didn't come from CDC or whatever, from the Emergency Assistance Rental Fund for him. and then I go back at them because then baby's daddy's in here, and then I had an officer one time tell me, well, how long has he been here? Well, I don't know, he's been camping out here about 30 consecutive days. Well, then he should be automatically on the lease. We can't do nothing. That's a civil matter. Goodbye. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a crybaby about this, but and then the tenants twist it around like it's me being the mean person.
All the game is played, right?
And I'm not trying to be, but when you got officers, then I had a sergeant come here, and he's telling me, well, I'm going to run you through a building inspector, because you're running a rooming house and you don't have a license. I said, sir, I am not running a rooming house. So I just toned it off. They left. The matter was muffled, as I want to say. So then I talked to an attorney friend of mine, and he said, I'll do this pro bono. He says, just go take him the paperwork. Show him that you're a legit transitional house. You fall into code compliance and confront him. Then he's telling me I'm running a scam. This is a sergeant from the police department.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bullcrap. I mean, I'm totally in compliance.
Which sergeant is it that you've been talking to?
I got that information in my...
Kong?
No. Well, Mr. Kong has, that's one thing too. I can drop stuff off at his office for him to look at, but for the prostitution, but he's never even gotten back to me. And obviously the people are gone, so I don't know where they are, but I think I would be a great undercover detective. I'll tell you that right now, because I know ways of finding out things about people that I shouldn't know about.
Yep.
So, but no, there's another sergeant that had an issue. Officer Pat, she's in 3rd District. Here's an example for her. She comes out to my place, and people break into my basement area for storage. It's not their stuff. It's my wash machine and dryers. And she takes the report, and I don't think it went anywhere. So then her and this sergeant were in the same room together. And to make a long story short, I made a call to 911, a non-emergency issue. And then she happens to be the person that calls back. She takes it on her own that they're not going to dispatch a squad.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, again, I'm not trying to...
Yeah, I hear you. No, I know what you're saying.
And I'm not trying to cry on your shoulders, but I mean, this is not how... there should be open communication, period.
Yeah. So when I talk to Chris, what's the first thing you want to hear back from him on? Is it the inspection stuff or the prostitution?
No, the inspection stuff as a totally... Okay. And then another thing I'm just going to put out there, for some reason I don't understand this, but I'll just put this out there. One of the building inspectors told me he was going to call a whole bunch of people from within the department. I got him recorded. I'm not worried about him. I'm just trying to find his name. Let's see here. Steve. His first name is Steve. His last name is Chalstrom. And he was one of the officers that came out on an inspection from a tenant that wasn't paying the rent, whatever. All they found out is my smoke detectors were not operating properly because the tenant was in violation of smoking, so they take the batteries out of the detector. I mean, and then I think I had a light socket that was wrong, but none of them showed me where the socket was. So it's like a needle in a haystack in a 4,000 square foot house.
Right.
But anyway, the code enforcement officers, I mean, I almost know them by name. I know them by sight,
Yeah.
So I mean, and I've only been here, October is my second year being here, but anyway, to make a long story short, I just got my tax bill right now, and for in the 2100 block of North 36th Street, my tax bill, if I pay before June 31st, 2013, is $6,333.62. How is that?
Wow.
I mean, and my assessed property is $51,600, sir.
Yeah, right. So your assessed value is over. Your taxes are over 12% 15% of your total value. Wow.
I know, and I know I didn't pay my taxes for last year, and I'm working on a negotiation for my taxes in 2010 when I bought the house, but I'm negotiating with the city's attorney that represents that matter. I don't know if it's a trial or a hearing coming up on the 15th of January.
That's the question, but do they even have the right address on the tax?
Yeah. Yeah, 2153 North 36th Street. I mean, and they got the 55. They got the tax key right.
Yeah.
I mean, I own another property, but they haven't figured out where that is to tackle me with these expenses. So.
And to me, the person that have an ability to just sit down with, and you've pointed out yourself, to me it sounds like you need the city attorney, and they've got they don't do it the same. We put our prosecutors right out there in the districts. The city attorney has assigned community prosecutors that are supposed to focus on the property issues and be able to answer questions like this, and so I will make sure that Chris gets that person in direct contact. So as a minimum, he can just sit down with you and go through every concern you have about this, and give you the answer from the city attorney's perspective on what's going on there. Because that's not Chris's. Chris is a criminal prosecutor. That's what he focuses sort of on the nuisance people, and it's the city attorney that focuses on issues that crop up around properties, and so that's I will get him to facilitate that meet with you and a city attorney so we can so you can just get some answers one or the other, and get this thing get any misunderstandings that are taking place here, get them squared out, and at least you know where you stand, right?
Yeah, I mean, I believe I'm being viciously attacked because of who I am, what I am, and I speak out a lot at these Blackwatch things.
Sure.
You're right. And I'm just,
right.
and I'm just trying to help people. But I mean, and then one time I went to Mr. Hugh Kong from the police department, 3rd District. He's a liaison officer. And I went to him about an issue. I don't know, this is probably about a year ago. And he just looked at me and he said, Daniel, he says, I'm not your personal police department. I'm not your personal police officer. I'm like, I got rid of a drug house across the street from the use of my video cameras. I know a handful of undercover police department that know that I'm speaking the truth when I see activities in my block. I'm like, but I'm coming to you, and now I'm asking you to be my personal police officer. That's not a right answer. I appreciate it. I hope something can be done, because I just emotionally it's just tearing me apart, and that's not good for my disability. In fact, I got a person that understands my disability through Independence First. He's my liaison person.
That's a great organization. I support it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, his name is Phil Corona, and he actually sat down and met with me with the alderman, and the alderman's like, well, you need to pay this $75 fee for occupancy because you have a commercial property and you're renting out property. But there's a stipulation in there. It says if it's owner occupied, we waive that fee. Well, just because it's owned by a non-for-profit, I live downstairs for a reason.
Right.
And then I'm supposed to pay this fee. So if you go to the website, I'm not in compliance with the city because I didn't fill this paperwork out. And then the alderman doesn't want to talk to me anymore because I'm not paying the $75 fee. And I assure you, Independence First, he's Phil Corona there, he's scratching his head going, I don't understand what's going on. And these are people that are much more knowledgeable with my disability and life situations, but this is just depressing me.
Yeah. Well, let me get a hold of Chris, and like I said, ask of him will be to set up a time for you and a city attorney to sit down and just go through. And I don't care where you want. Do you have a preference where it's done? Do you want it done in a neutral site? Do you want it done at the police station?
Well, we can do it in the police department, but I don't want it to be unproductive. I mean, okay, we'll take all your information down, and then I never hear from you again because I got the property tax people breathing down my throat. Because, sir, I even signed an affidavit for my taxes when I first moved here. I had hired and retained people to have my paperwork done. they can't even find my paperwork that I filed be tax exempt for the nonprofit that I turned in, and I signed an affidavit. And I don't know where that's going to go, but I mean, if you could assist me in that, I'm trying to do the best I can.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to get a free ride. I'm not trying to get nothing given to me. You know,
I'm not presuming that at all.
You know,
I'm not. So, all right, let me talk with Chris, and then we'll try to get the city attorney just to sit down, because I really believe that that's the one source would probably answer. You know, they're knowledgeable in all these different things, and at least you can. Like I said, at least we know where you stand on everything, and then you might not agree with what they say, but at least you know where you stand with respect to them. So.
All right, Mr. Chisholm, I appreciate it, and I understand Christmas is coming. I don't need it that fast, but you know, the 15th.
No, it's no problem.
And I'd like to have people sit in with me, not an attorney, but I'd like to have somebody from Independence first. And
I think that'd be a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
So we could set up where you'd have a city attorney there, and then someone from Independence first. And
yeah,
then,
and I got another gentleman. I don't know if you know who he is, but he seems to be. His son is Evan Goki.
Oh, sure. No, I know him.
And his father.
State public defender.
Yeah, and his father, Gary Goki, he's sitting with me, going the same thing. Going, these people are attacking you. And how do we take care of that? I talk to Gary twice or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work.
Another call coming in.
All right.
But we'll move on it. All right.
Please make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.